everybody, and welcome to the 208th episode of Gaming Talk. On this episode, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on both of the games that fall under the complex, which are Found Footage and The Expedition. Let's get into it. Of course, I'm going to be starting by talking about Found Footage, because it is the first in this little duology. Found Footage is a pretty simple and short game. So short that I'm able to complete it in about 20 minutes. The game literally drops you into the level 0 area, and as you go, the room changes a little bit as you stay on the correct path that ends in an elevator. You take the elevator and it takes you to the pool room. A much darker one than in The Expedition. Once you find the elevator, it'll take you to a very short hotel level, so short that it opens up into kind of another level 0 looking area, which is where you will find the next elevator. This is where some strange stuff happens. The elevator opens up to a room that's just blocked off by some chairs, but then it closes again. Then the elevator eventually gets you to the next area, go through some more rooms, like ones that look a part of a grocery store, and more level 0 areas with a really high ceiling, where a consistent beeping will take you to the next elevator. And that will take you to this open-looking area with houses on either side where the sky turns red not too long after you enter and start walking through. However, nothing happened. To the next elevator that leads you to this snow area. It's got some trees and then 3 houses in the middle. You will go to the house in the middle of the 3, which will get you to the next elevator, which is the final elevator. When the elevator opens, something is there blocking you, but you see a hallway with a red light. When the elevator starts to fall, you see a flash of red light as the elevator falls. Cut to black and back, and the camera is looking at a trash bag and trash can as you see a car go by. Then a short panning shot of just the camera sitting in, looks like a drainage pipe maybe, I don't know. And then the sign for the Magwave Research Institute, and that's it. But yeah, that's Found Footage for you. It's simple, it's short, and yes, it does leave some questions. As far as general gameplay stuff is concerned, I don't really have any issues with the game. The only thing I do wish is that there was a flashlight, like there is in The Expedition. I've read that initially Found Footage was supposed to have a flashlight, but then the developers took it out, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Question-wise, the first thing that I want to know is what causes the elevator to do what it does towards the end of the game. Also, who or what put those chairs there when the elevator opens at one point with the chairs blocking the way? Of course, who or what was the figure at the end of the lockers? So I think my biggest question is if the events of this game are in any way related to the events in The Expedition. I've read some people say that The Expedition is a prequel to Found Footage, and some say they are separate, and I'd like to know which one it is. But I doubt I'll get an answer to that one. Now, since I've mentioned it enough times, let's move on to The Expedition. The Expedition starts us suiting up as one of those yellow-suited research guys you sometimes see in Kane Pixels' Backrooms videos. Of course, this is not connected at all to Kane Pixels' work. Just something to draw some similarities to. You and your crew go through the gateway into the back rooms You get tasked with steering a rover thing through a very tight space, but the camera cuts out. You crawl through and you find your rover missing, then some noises happen, and you fall, and you get the title screen as the game truly begins. Now, this game can, as far as I've experienced, start you in one of two areas. You'll either start in the level 0 looking area, or this kind of mall area. Both do eventually connect to the level 0 area that is kind of like the hub level. Again, this game is very linear, but finding one's way through the hub level can be both confusing and tedious, as there are two ways that will eventually lead you to the correct path that will eventually lead you to the elevator. Of note, you do walk past this weird humanish looking guy thing that doesn't do anything to you, it just kind of exists. Anyway, to get to the elevator, and it takes you to the pool rooms. This time they're a bit bigger, with some areas having some detours that don't really make it more or less confusing to follow, though right up to the next elevator. After that is the hotel, which again is a large section that was larger than it was in found footage. As you go, our guy thinks his radio starts working, but it doesn't. You keep going until you reach a subway car. You get in and it takes you to the next area. Go down some hallways that will lead to a small cutscene of having our guy have to drop down through a hole. Do some more hallways. So you reach the mall. The mall section is not at all related to the one at the beginning of the game as a possible starting point. Up some escalators and under some of those metal shutter things, and you'll be in the main area of the mall near some escalators. Now, you can go up the escalators, or if you just kind of want to walk, and you do so until you notice lights turning on. Turn around and go back as you approach the escalator and go back down, and more of the lights start turning on and the smooth jazz also starts. You find an area to the side that looks like somebody removed a board just so you can get through and get to the next elevator. This is then going to turn into some kind of weird kindergarten area. Down some hallways that will eventually lead to lockers that you keep going even though you see something in the distance. And you turn that way and there's nothing actually there. Yay. You see something and turn that way that something was, and just keep going to this really, really rundown area where our guy basically gets mocked by his radio. Down some more hallways that will lead to an area that is definitely meant to look like level 94, but here it looks more like a TV show set or movie set that was built. Go through the far right house until you reach a gap. Another small cutscene plays as our guy tries to go over the ladder, over the gap, but the ladder slides down and causes our guy to fall. When he picks up the camera, we see the weird harmless guy we passed in the hallways until we are at the beginning of the game. Down a few more hallways until we reach a picture of Jesus between a split path with text that says choose the right path. Now, before I get fully into the endings, I want you to know that these are not meant to be set so that one is a good ending and the other one is a bad ending. They're just two endings that the game has. Alright, now, the endings. Should you choose the left path, you first will be reunited with the lost rover. You find the tape line left by your crew, you follow it back to the gateway and back to the research institute. Things are off though, as no one is around you. You go up some stairs through the food court and see an exit sign with an arrow left. You turn the corner to a room with a big open door and a red light flooding in. Our guy drops the camera, and all the other things in the room get pulled towards the light. After some flashes of light, the camera is now falling. Before cutting to black, we see the camera in a field, then cuts to a white crack in the sky during the day, then to the magwave sign with some overgrowth on it, and finally to a sign that says "Caution, Demolition in Progress," with some haphazardly spray painted stuff over the said sign. Now, let's rewind back to that split hallway with the picture of Jesus. Should you choose the right path, you'll first see this black growth all over. Down more hallways, one looking like level 0 hallways, until you reach the next small cutscene. Some kind of tree thing that definitely has a dead person in it, as our guy points out. The tree thing moves and regains control back. The music ramps up a bit as the hallways darken as we walk back through, until a room that looks like it's for deliveries, and another door. The final cutscene plays as our guy opens the door to a gap. He looks back, hears something, the lights flicker, as something quickly reaches out and grabs our guy, pulls him towards the ceiling, causing our guy to drop his camera. It falls through weird stuff until it's falling towards the ground. Cuts back to black. The camera lands in a field at night this time. Cut to the white crack in space, cut to magwave sign with overgrowth on it, and cut to black. So yeah, that is the expedition. Obviously, Expedition is a little bit longer and a little bit more story-driven, though I do think there is some kind of narrative in found footage, but a little more on the cryptic side than in Expedition. I will say that saying Expedition is more story-driven is true, but it's also a very loose story. And there's so much mystery in both endings, too. Like, sure, we get to see our guy and his crew set out to the back rooms, and things go wrong and our guy gets separated, but past that, the story gets thin. 2 times, our guy thinking his radio works, and then his fate in either ending of the game. Like, yeah, there's much story here. I am glad that this game has a flashlight, and I really don't have much else to say before going into the endings. Alright, the endings. I have so many questions about both of them, though. Some of the questions can apply to both. The first thing with the left path ending is, what was causing the overwhelming red light? What does that mean for the magwave facility? Did the facility become a part of the back rooms? Now, I noticed that when the camera returns to Earth, in the ending, we see a white crack in the sky during the daytime, maybe like sundown, I don't know. The daytime. Also, after seeing the magwave sign, they show a demolition in progress sign that isn't in the other ending. So it must have come just to maybe. Also, after seeing the magwave sign, they show a little demolition in progress sign that isn't in the other ending. So is it some sort of alternate reality ending? Is one of the endings canon while one is just an alternate thing? I need answers. The first thing with the right path ending is, what was the stuff causing the black growth? What is the black growth? What was the tree thing in the crack in the wall that seems to be the cause of black growth? Who was the dead guy caught in the tree thing? I'm assuming it's what grabbed our guy at the end, so why did it grab our guy? Another observation is that when the camera lands in the field, in one ending it's nighttime, and when we see the white crack, it's in space. Of course, the biggest mystery with both endings has to be about the white crack. I think it's safe to say that magwave somehow caused that, and I assume that is somehow the way the camera fell back to Earth in both endings. Also, if things can get out from those cracks, is it possible to get something in from the other side of the cracks? Is the back room's just like floating up there in the cracks? Another thing is that in both endings, especially the one during the day, those cracks are pretty visible. Wouldn't some sort of people like NASA that could see those cracks be very interested and concerned about them? Okay, yeah, now I'm just asking too many questions. And I know that I'll probably never get any answers. Both of these games are just such excellent backrooms games to me. They both capture what I believe is the real essence of the backrooms. To me, the backrooms has never been about, being chased by the six-legged spider entity. No. It's about liminal spaces, about that uncomfortable and unnerving feeling of being utterly trapped and alone. That, to me, is what the backrooms should have always been about. That is why it is tricky for me to be interested in many backrooms games, because most of them rely too much on the entity aspect of what I think the aspect of it, and I'm not all that, oh my goodness. That's why it's tricky for me to be interested in many backrooms games, because most of them rely too much on the entity aspect of it, and I'm not all that much a fan of it. These two games and Pools are the three games that really capture what I think is the backrooms experience as it should be. And people might not like that, and that's okay. I read some reviews on both of these games, and it needs some kind of... I've read some reviews on these complex games, and some of the negative ones are because nothing happens. Because these people want entities and things chasing them, and to me, that's not what makes the backrooms scary. I'm gonna say this. If you're one of those original fans of the original backrooms creepypasta and want a few games that really capture that feeling, then you should definitely play both of these. Now, if you're one that thinks the backrooms needs entities, then go play Translimit, because it's the best backrooms game with entities. Complex Found Footage and the Complex Expedition are both good and enjoyable games that I can definitely recommend. That's all I have to say, so if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.